Assalamu alaikum and good evening, everyone. I'm extremely excited about today's conversation because we have two great visual storytellers with us. And besides that, we have Kiran Fatima here today with us, who will be moderating the panel, who happens to be a filmmaker and a consultant at Impact Dynamics. So very happy to add Fatima in the stream. Hi, Fatima.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
How are you?
How are you?
Salam. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well, and I'm extremely excited about today's conversation because we have the best storytellers with us, right?
Same. I mean, I can't wait for it to get started. So let's begin.
Absolutely. So I've added Zeeshan to the stream. Assalamu alaikum, Zeeshan, and a very warm welcome.
Everybody. Thank you so much for having me over. Thank you very much. It's great to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And we also happen to have Kohi. Kohi is not just a great visual storyteller, but he is also a coach at Film Lab, was a coach at Film Lab Lahore, and hopefully he will be joining us at Film Lab Karachi as well. So Fatma, over to you.
Yeah, hello Kohi, hello Zeeshan. I mean, it's such an honor to be with you guys. I've heard a lot about. I mean, everyone knows about your work, but how about we get started? Zeeshan, I'll go ahead with you. How about you introduce yourself and tell us more about your work?
This feels weird because I'm in the same room as Kohi, and we're gonna be doing introductions. This is something I'd never ever imagined, but chalo Kohi, ye bhi aana tha ek din. So thank you so much for having me over on the show as well. My name is Zeeshan Perez. I'm a filmmaker, a music producer, and animator. I try to sort of create things in terms of with mixed media and as to the best of my ability. Long story short, I've actually been I've been associated with a lot of music video productions in the country. I've worked with Ali Azmat, Atif Aslam, Mikal Hassan, and a lot of other people as well. A couple of shows that I've actually produced visually and directed as well are Coke Studio. And the other one is recently the one show called Easy Paisa Rahi, sponsored by Easy Paisa, featuring Umair Jaswal. So I'm actually also the one of the graduates of the Vancouver Film School as well. I was in Canada for a couple of years. So I just recently shifted back to Pakistan with the hopes of opening up my production company called Studio Rohan, through which I make a lot of these animated small things, call it PSAs or whatever. And this year we've just been active in producing a lot of public service announcements centered around COVID-19 awareness in different languages, in Pashto, Sindhi, and yeah. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell, I guess. And at the same time, also I'm associated with. I'm also one of the band members of the band Sajid and Zeeshan. We both of us, myself and Sajid, were from Peshawar. And yeah, I guess that's about it. I don't know what else to say beyond this.
No, thank you, Zeeshan. I mean, it's so inspiring because you're from Peshawar and you're doing so well, mashallah. And I mean, we're from Peshawar too, so it's like, you know, it's pretty cool. Hello,
thank you.
How about we have?
Hi there.
Please introduce yourself.
Well, yeah, where do I begin?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Kohi. I take pictures and used to take a lot of pictures for newspapers and magazines, and well, when people used to publish newspapers and magazines more often. I did a lot of travelogues. I did a lot of cross-country photography and documentary photography for Dawn, for the news and other media outlets. I've worked on commercial projects like. I actually met Zeeshan at Coke Studio Season 2.
Yeah.
That's when we first met. And when
that was 12 years back, right? Almost 12 years back?
Is it 12 years? Wow. Time flies. Yeah, so someone told me, oh, that's Zeeshan from that band. I was like, I love your music, man. And he's standing, doing some work. He looked at me like, thank you. And he carried on. So yeah, I've worked with a bunch of musicians for photographs. I've done some B camera, C camera footage for other people as well. I've been working on small video projects that have just been plodding along and have not developed as fast as I would want them to. But you know, there's a lot in progress at the moment.
Thanks, Kohi. You have had a very interesting background in terms of. I mean, you were studying architecture, and then you sort of shifted into this industry. How did that happen? How did that shift happen?
I just got really bored at sitting at an office drawing lines for 12 hours a day.
Oh wow.
And I was still doing photography at the time, but I
Uh-huh.
did it in my spare time and on weekends. And that just took off while sitting at the office, dealing with office politics and printer politics and making lines all day long didn't seem to be yielding any results. I still design. I do a lot of architectural or conceptual architectural designs, things that might be buildable in the next 10, 12 years, things that people won't build at this time. So I do a lot of conceptual work and I still expand on that work to someday maybe exhibit that as well.
Wow, that's very interesting. Zishan, can we talk about how you sort of, how did this journey happen for you? How did you arrive at like choosing that, this is something that I want to do? And also exploring so much within this field because it has so much to offer.
Yeah, I think it pretty much started when I was a teenager, really, to be honest. In Peshawar, it was super hard to sort of get connected with people who were sort of doing those things. On top of my head, there were just two people whom I sort of met up with. One was Sajid Ghafoor and one was Sarmad Ghafoor. I always pay my respects to them because they were the ones who were sort of guiding all the people towards music and the arts as well. Generally, they were a big force over here in Pakistan, in Peshawar. So what happens was, around about that time when I was actually making a lot of, having a lot of interest. So in the arts, what happened was I sort of, just took the decision, took the plunge of sort of not going for a 9 to 5 job. I was actually specializing in an MBA with marketing, so my avenues were pretty much centered towards banking and pretty much the corporate sector if I went there really. But I sort of just took a dive and really just pursued the arts really. And since then it was building blocks from music production. That was the primary thing with how it started of producing songs for Sajin Zeeshan. And then after that was music videos. When what happened was I used to make my own music videos, and then through that a lot of people contacted me. So they were like Ali Azmat and Mikal Hassan, etc., etc. And I've always talked to Kohi about our both of our love for constructing music videos. We have the same heroes. Me and Kohi share a lot of our heroes are pretty much the same in terms of music videos
Film
that
and
are created. So I
music
mean,
and arts, illustration,
absolutely,
animation.
absolutely, absolutely. So I mean, and that led to Coke Studio, which opened up further avenues as well in terms of production. So I mean, it's just a journey that just it's a block by block thing. I will also sort of take this opportunity to sort of go back in time and recall the moment the first time I met Kohi, which was in season 2, behind when we were sort of behind the sets of season 2. And I remember specifically a person whose perfect eye of catching the perfect moments. I've never seen anyone do that with a camera, and I was actually blown away when I would sort of see the stuff of Kohi's visual stuff, and it was absolutely the stuff of legends to this day. And I should also say this as well that Kohi's done so much work that still the world hasn't seen, which I always push him, man, just do something about it, and I hope he does. There's this perfect thing that he's done for Karachi, which no one's ever seen, and it's one of the most beautiful photography of Karachi that I've ever
I
seen.
actually shared that with Fatima last time we met, right, Fatima? The little clip.
Kohi, you need to
Acha, okay.
publish your work. Yes, please publish your work because I'll tell you what happened. So, I mean, a couple of weeks ago, I lost all of my data. So there were like a lot of unpublished photos and videos, and now they're gone. So please publish them. I mean, I hope that your data is safe forever. But please show it to the world. Please, we'll be
Take
talking
this
about.
from me. Take. Please, sorry, I'm interrupting, but take this from me. Data is never ever protected. It always, you will always lose it. I've
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been a victim of hard disk crashes more than anyone, really, to be honest. And just just release it, man. Seriously.
yeah, yeah. Just release a Kohi. Kohi, take it from us. Release all of it. talking about the work, I mean, you've been talking about each other, but like, how about you talk about where do you draw your inspiration from when you're creating a piece of work?
Um,
And I'll be asking you about your secret ingredient, about whatever Zishan shared. How do you go about doing what you do? I mean, which is absolutely magical. So, like, what is the secret ingredient?
Let's see. For me, it starts out more as an idea, as as a thought or a solution to a problem. I see a problem or hear a problem, whether it's in a story, or if I'm watching a movie and there's a situation, or if I'm listening to a song, or reading a book. It sparks something, and that idea then starts evolving. But the problem with me is that idea will then go through, let's say, design for a new kind of shoe, design for a sofa, a chair, a room, interior design, furniture, and then it kind of keeps on evolving into various mediums. So there's a maybe a script in there, a short story, a picture, and then I have to work backwards in terms of visualizing it. It's like, okay, if this was a photograph, how would I visualize that? If this was a short film, how would that be told? If this was, a chair or a piece of furniture, how would that work out? What materials would there be? How would it be constructed? That sort of stuff. So yeah,
Yeah,
there's
right.
an unnecessary amount of thought put into things, and that bogs me down. Yeah, but
No,
but
but
it is very satisfying internally.
yeah, but Kohi, I mean, there's a lot of depth when it comes to your work. I mean, the kind of work that you've sort of shared. I mean, there's a lot of depth to it. Also, I would like for you to like sort of make a connect between what you do and the stories and the thought process, and how sort of startups now can sort of really use this element and sort of make meaningful content for their businesses and for their stories and the kind of stuff that they're putting out there, and how to like
Yeah.
make that connect with their audience.
So we could say in a way that you kind of attract the kind of people that you are kind of linked with, the way that Zishan and I kind of randomly fell in together, and we sort of connected, and we held that connection quite tight for many, many years. And in that way, if you communicate who you are, what your ideas are, what your concept is, what you're bringing to the world, and how you see the world, and how your presence is going to improve things and build things and build on top of things. So if you share that in visual medium, through storytelling, through your product, whatever, that way it will attract the people who need that.
yeah.
Right, right. Zishan, what do you have to say about this?
I think echoing what Kohi said, I'm just going to add a couple of things in terms of. So a couple of fundamentals they also teach in film school as well is that networking is pretty much everything, but networking with people not for the sake of just getting something out of them, but for the sake of just learning and just being motivated. Really, I remember there's a lot of people whom I meet. Kohi is definitely one of them. Is that whenever I meet him, in fact, it's just a burst of new things, new ideas that actually just come out. Just sort of talking to him, just it just sort of it's such a for an artist, it's such a beautiful feeling to sort of connect with like-minded people and discuss the possibilities of creating new art and how and just talk about general things about in terms of time and space where we are right now and what we can do to sort of contribute in this timeline of ours and sort of create cool new things from our side. I think that's very, very important. And the other thing is you need to actually have the passion, put in your 200% effort into each and every project you pursue or at least you commit to. I think that's super important. So there are core fundamentals of this sort of just diving into something into production. And the other thing is mindset. I think if you have the mindset that you need to achieve something, or whatever it may be, a set of goals, I think that's and it applies to everything. It applies to startups. It applies to different things. It applies to, say, I'll give you an example. Like my company, I never ever thought that I'd actually be doing animations and stuff generally, but that's what it's known for. Oops, sorry, camera. What a timing. But that's what it's known for generally. And we sort of, I never ever knew that, our clips featuring Pabo Badmash, for COVID-19 would be featured in the New York Times, and people globally would react to it, would be, interacting with it. So I think that's just, you have a mindset that, you've done something, but that the mindset came up from doing something for your community and just is contributing in some way possible. And even then, that's one of the reasons also that I respect people like Kohi, especially Kohi in this case, that, he just wants to do something centered around his community, and that shines through his beautiful photography that he does. And I haven't seen anyone do that the way he does.
And
Yeah.
I'd like to add something else that might not be entirely relevant to that, but both Zeeshan and I kind of grew up in a small town,
Yeah.
Quetta and Peshawar, and
Yeah.
where we didn't have an outlet for the things we wanted to do. There's so many things like comic books and video
Absolutely.
games and things that we loved and we wanted to see more of,
Absolutely.
consume more, and share with friends. But we had a community of maybe 3 people, 4 people at most that we could
Yeah.
connect with. And
Yeah.
I'm really happy for this day and age where people don't suffer like that, but they can. Well, I can hear myself. Sorry, feedback. But the internet has closed the gap. And okay, I can't hear myself anymore, which is better because I was hearing some echo over there. Yeah, so yeah, people can connect a lot faster, and our communities have gotten bigger. So there's not just Zeeshan in Peshawar and me in Quetta or something. There might be 50 other people instead of 2 or 3 people. And we need to generate more, let's say, work or creativity or more ideas or more places of, bringing each other closer together and building our community as well.
Yeah, that's very true, Kohi. I totally agree with you. So, talking about generating content and creating stuff. So, how about you walk us through your individual creative processes so that even startups can sort of gain an idea about how to like go about this kind of stuff. Because I mean, with startups, you know how it's like they don't probably. I mean, they have to do it themselves, and but
Yeah.
then you own a startup, you know what your story is and how to like sort of inculcate that into the kind of work that you're generating. And so how do you go about creating the kind of stuff that you do? What's your creative process?
So first, as you need to know your influences. You need to know who has inspired you and why you're inspired into doing what you're doing. The second would be uh, knowing who you're trying to communicate with. For example, if we talk to our parents or friends, we talk differently. We don't speak the same language to everyone. So we need to know who we're speaking to as well and who we want to speak to. So you pick, your influence, you pick your language, and then you start developing your own language, your own communication or variation of that language. That could be a video or a photograph or a song or, jingle, whatever, that feels right for whatever you're doing, whatever your startup is, because it could be different for everyone. Again, it might even be a sculpture, piece of furniture, or a lighting of a building. So that's entirely open for interpretation and how you proceed, and then know whose eye that will catch and what
Right,
your reaction will be to that and how you want everyone else to kind of gel in together.
right. Zishan, how about you walk us through your creative process?
My creative. Sorry, can you hear me? Okay, sorry. Um, my creative process generally revolves around, first of all, deciding what I need to do, what I need to produce, and what is the intent for producing that particular piece of clip, whether it be music, whether it be video, etc. There's a specific purpose to something generally, and you just have to sort of look deep within yourself and ask, like, if you are willing to spend 6 months of your time doing something, is that important for you? I think that's one thing that, say, in case of startups or business, whatever, I think you have to actually see if you put in that amount of hard work and effort in something, you have to decide whether that's important for you or not. Even and also, if not important right now, will it have any sort of relevance or value in the future for years to come? I mean, that's also one thing. Sort of, you make something to the best of your ability with the attention that this will have a long life. That's, I mean, in the digital space, I know that's a very hard thing nowadays, considering there's so much content, there's so much competition, etc. But that's, at least you push yourself to do that. The other thing is creating something new, creating something cool, creating something that actually has a very very important value within your heart, not only for yourself but probably for your community members as well. I've done a couple of things which, okay, so sometimes for an artist, the way what you're deciding is to do something, and then you suddenly swing away. I feel the universe sort of, like, guides you in this direction as well. It just comes in ahead if your intent is good. So what happens is, I was producing, like, I'll give you an example. A year back, I was producing something like a short film or something. I got swayed away with another idea, which was to create a small animated clip that showcases how we in Peshawar cause traffic jams by not being patient, by another car actually just going the other way around, ulte haath bajana, and it causes a traffic jam. That's a common problem over here in Peshawar, and I'm sure in other cities as well. So I addressed that through an animated video. And that was because every day, 45 to 50 minutes of my life were spent on the road, picking my daughter up from school. And I was on the road, and my daughter's school is like literally 1 minute away from my house, 1 minute, 2 minutes away. It was just insane. And this was sort of a clip that sort of, okay, I said, that clip sort of set things in motion, really. And that's why I tell a lot of people, and I meet a lot of creatives, is that you have to see what your personal project is. You won't get paid for your personal project, but once you do that, I assure you, people will actually call you back again because of how much they'll see your passion being reflected in your passion project. So passion projects is actually super important for any artist, I believe.
Yeah, that's very true. How do you find joy? Something, idea that you believe that is worth sort of pursuing, because I mean, as creatives, I'm sure that probably tens of hundreds of ideas sort of inspire us every single day. But like, how do you find something particular that you go like, this is something that I want to actually pursue, or this is something that I want to develop, or is it worth it for that matter?
Sorry, who is that question for?
I mean, either of you.
Kohi, go ahead.
Well, just think of what would you torture yourself with for months, for the long term? What are you willing to suffer with? It's more about how long can you sustain yourself with one idea, with something that you believe in or that you like, that you want to do, without it killing you within a month, without the project or the idea itself draining you. And if it drains you, and within that draining, you're enriched somehow, you're like, yes, that's worth doing, that's worth pursuing, it might enrich my life, someone else's life, then go for it. it can't just be a monetary benefit, because that just comes and goes. It's like becomes a pointless exercise. Trust me, I've done lots of pointless exercises, but it needs to be something that kind of sustains you and propels you forward.
Right.
Creatively moves your idea ahead, and
Right.
and I think, Zeeshan, your turn.
Zeeshan, you have to unmute yourself.
Sorry, I'm very bad with these things. Sorry. Again, whatever Kohi said is just deciding to how much time you're gonna take to make something. That's very, very important. So you allocate that time, and I feel one thing which I always say and which I always convey in my talks, really, to be honest, is the importance of time. Being in Canada, if one thing that's actually taught me in Canada is I've been very I respect time quite a bit now. I try not to waste too much time the way I used to back in the day, Kohi. Um, those were, yeah, you know me. So I used to slack off, and I was just very, very bad with time. But now what I do is I log my hours in terms of where I need to utilize time more, whether it's in animation, whether it's film production, etc. So I actually allocate a substantial amount of time towards a specific project, or also in learning things. Like I have a dedicated time. At least I try to follow that as much as I can and be disciplined in the way that if there's 1 week, I actually utilize a couple of hours in learning something, a new software, a new technique, or any tutorial on YouTube, etc. To just sort of keep going and be current, really. For musicians as well, it's very important as well, and that applies to everything from startups to movies, etc. Is that you need to be relevant with the times. But at least, even if you with being relevant with times, it doesn't mean that you have to sway away and just follow trends. I think it's important to actually strike a balance and have your own voice cut through in the mainstream, and that's very, very important. So you carve something, but that actually is a sonic identity of yourself that should speak out to the audience, and that will be the identity that will be completely different from everything else in the market, and that is how you basically create your own reflection, which people will follow.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that as well. That speaking of myself, the way I got started in the industry, the way I got noticed and started getting work was that I actually did stuff just for myself. People would call me, oh, could you do this for me? Could you help me with that? So I would just go ahead and shoot pictures for exhibitions to raise money for various charities and help friends with their projects. But when they called me and they asked me for help, I said, okay, I'll do it, but I need to do it in this specific way because I feel that is right for this thing that I'm doing or that I've been asked for. And I didn't promote myself or anything. People saw that, they recognized it, and then they started calling me. They said, oh, we want this from you. Could you do this for us as well? So it was the idea of being unique and producing something that was right for that work. The issue I had in the years after that is everyone just kept calling me for that one specific thing. And I started feeling like, okay, I have more tricks as well. I don't need to do the same trick over and over again. And that started killing me later on. But, it's just that I needed to break, and I need to show people, look, I can do other things as well for the same thing in different ways and move forward from there. Again, it's a market thing where everyone gets stuck in a particular gear, and then they just want that same template, same thing replicated over and over again because, oh, it worked that time, why can't it work now? So yeah, and again, it's good that Zeeshan mentioned trends. This was in my notes as well, that look at what the trends are, know what the trends are right now, but think of a year ahead, 5 years, 10 years, 30 years ahead. Like one of my favorite filmmakers, Jean-Luc Godard, in the 60s, he said people asked him, so how do you come up with your ideas and how do you do your work? He said that I look at my audience and I think, how would they see this work in 30 years' time? Will it be
Yeah.
relevant 30 years from now? So then I work towards that. So yeah.
So wow. So I would also, because we discussed community, we discussed the power of storytelling. And something that the three of us share mutually is the fact that we belong to very small towns, with limited access to resources and all of that. And creating meaningful work for our community as well. So given the kind of times we are living in, I mean, there's like a lot of liberty, but then and a lot of power, but then there's growing intolerance also. So there's this voice that we have, and these platforms that are so important and so empowering for that matter. And then there's this growing intolerance, and people need to be educated. And I mean, like Zeeshan talked about his animated film for a very everyday phenomenon that driving on the Ulta Rasta causes traffic jams. So, sort of doing stuff for our community, but like, how important is this tool for, to sort of address all of those issues that, as a community we face?
So, correct me if I'm wrong. Your question was that how important this tool is in sort of conveying a message. Is that your overall question?
Yes, yes.
So, I mean, look, one of the things, as much as Kohi would, I hope Kohi agrees with me as well, is that filmmaking, or at least the way we perceive it, is a very, very, very frustrating job, really, to be honest. Especially in a place like Pakistan, it just becomes, it's getting harder day by day. And I don't mean because of a lot of, why, because a lot of people, other people have come into the market. It's not that. It's just that general trends are leading to that, towards a point where basically filmmaking in general, I clump everything together: filmmaking, video production, etc. It's there's a general atmosphere, and we are rising towards against it, really, to be honest, and operating against the waves, really, to be honest. And but this is what I want to convey, is that there's no medium like filmmaking to sort of convey a message, really, to be honest, to everyone, really, to be honest. That message, it doesn't need to be a direct message in terms of that showcases social consciousness or behavioral change, whatever. It could be a simple message talking about different values of our everyday life, and it would be in a it actually, what I'm saying is that filmmaking has a capacity to bring about change in a lot of ways, and I can only give examples of other people as well, but just so that I know actually statistics wise, when we made something in Pushto, the most amazing follow up, the most amazing messages that we got, not through Facebook, not through YouTube, etc., but through WhatsApp messages, was that a lot of people on the streets, etc., were receptive towards the clip, and they were actually sending voice notes. Those notes were of rickshaw drivers, those were of bus drivers. There was a village people just conveying, like, you guys did a good job, and there's a very big COVID scare in our society, and a lot of people are not following SOPs, and what should we do about it as well? Obviously, I'm not a medical administrator. I am not authorized to say anything like that, but I just wish them well, etc. But that just goes to show that people are receptive towards this kind of medium. And I feel, and I feel, if Kohi, I hope he also agrees with me as well, is that every filmmaker has the responsibility of creating good content that way. And when I say filmmaker in this respect, I actually clump a lot of people, like television owners, people who are broadcasting things, and who are producers running television channels. Everyone, really, to be honest, has, in this day and age, I feel, a very big responsibility in constructing a standard set of core standards, really, to be honest, that actually dictate art in every form, and which is digestible and appreciated by everyone, and actually has a general nice message.
Yes, thank you, Zeeshan. Kohi?
No, I agree with that. I think, as the expression goes, no man is an island. We're all kind of interconnected. We're all kind of like, if one of us has a bad meal, we all suffer through it, in that way. So we need to, be cognizant of how, the words each one of us uses and how it affects the other person. How, let's say, the community in Peshawar, how they, what they say and how they behave, how that affects Quetta, and from Quetta to Lahore, from Lahore to Karachi, all of that. So yeah, we are all tied in, especially now where everything's connected within seconds. You don't have to take the old phone and dial numbers like this and wait for like 15 minutes for it to connect. Everything's instant. That can be problematic also, and that gives me a headache when someone calls me at 2 a.m. saying, "Oh, could you do this for me now?" It's like, so we've gone past social niceties because of technology, but technology also allows us to connect much faster and exchange ideas much faster as well. And this COVID time, in a way, has been, there has been some positive stuff that has come out of this, which is we've kind of cut through a lot of nonsense in terms of production nonsense that you see in TV shows and interviews and things, and communicate directly and make things a lot more real and one-on-one, less of a set up studio environment where it's all show and less substance. So the substance has started to come out. Now, the stuff that I watch these days is interviews of people, of filmmakers, artists, and it's all based on similar technology as we're using right now, like direct face-to-face conversations. It's not so much about, the producer saying your set isn't colorful enough. You don't have enough decorations here, like taking you out of the subject and the context of what you need to do into nonsense territory. So it's more about the content needs to be strong enough to hold within this little square of, badly lit, fuzzy webcam footage type thing. So it's what we're saying and how we're saying it to each other that's more important than, oh, there needs to be a chandelier over here, there needs to be a piano on that side, and so yeah, it's really cut through that and made things a lot more direct.
Right. Zeeshan, do you have something to say?
Yeah, I was actually going to ask Kohi something, and I never thought that I'd actually. I mean, we have these conversations. I ask a lot of questions from Kohi. This is just my habit. Kohi, do you feel do you sometimes wonder if social media, the way it is right now, had it been in our time when we were starting out, and this is pretty much mid 2000s. At least for me, that's when I was sort of starting out. If we had this kind of capability, do you think that would have been a good thing for us, or was it a good thing that we were not? We didn't go through the whole thing of just being part of social media. I really like that. Sorry?
And it's something that I have thought about, and I feel that I really enjoyed going through the old magazines and digging through books to find the results that I wanted to. And, I couldn't just, if there's a song I liked, I couldn't just Google it. I had to research, I had to find out who did it, where, how do I get a copy of it? If I like those people enough, how would I contact them and let them know? I mean, that whole process was an education in itself. It slowed us down, and I think if we had this technology, we might have maybe made more things or been further ahead. But at the same time, that whole procedure, like I'm going to give an example. I used to use a digital camera in the early 2000s when digital was not really thought of as a serious medium at that time, where the serious photography was still black and white film, do it yourself, use this lens, all of that. So I was using a digital camera and I was getting images. I liked results and I liked working fast, but then it got stolen. And I had to revert back to my film camera where I had to, to get certain results, you have to use certain type of film. And for that film, you have to use specific type of lighting. And that you could either shoot it in a specific place, way, set it up in a tripod, whatever. So that was a whole different education of its own that informed me in ways that, let's say, current technology might not have. If you learn things the analog way, that knowledge transfers, and then you respect the process and the steps you have to get through to for the end results. You can't just, okay, let's just quickly tap on the keyboard and get results. So yeah, I don't think it would have benefited us in some ways. I think it could have possibly held us back creatively because we would be much more interested in getting immediate results. It's something that I feel that a lot of clients I've had in the past have had an issue with this, where they just want results the same afternoon, the evening. If they have an idea, they want it produced right then and there. And that is not possible. You need to think about it. You need to delve into it and create it. It could take you half an hour more, 2 hours more, or if whatever your process is. But it needs some thought. You can't just pull it out and give it to the client or create it like that. It's going to, again, be superficial, and it'll just be a result without any thought or feeling behind it. Mechanical is the word, yeah.
I'm just going to add to this, and Kohi, you're spot on, man. I think you completely said it the way I always wanted to say it as well. Fatima, just to add to this as well, I'm also one of the other contenders as well that sort of went from bazaar to bazaar and actually got magazines, filmmaking magazines, music production magazines, along with my friend Sarmad Ghafoor. And he was the one, in fact, who would sort of go ahead and I would sort of follow, and he would be taking the lead as well. And that was my primary education, really, to be honest, of just going through magazines. Sometimes when I would go to Karachi, the Itwar Bazaar would actually be a heaven for, do you remember those magazines and stuff, man? Like, वहाँ पे ठीक-ठाक, वहाँ पे digital video magazines वगैरह होते थे and stuff. And the other thing is, one thing, and this is just for the pursuit of just sort of getting, like the way Kohi said, right? If you go to film cameras, etc., etc. I never used film equipment as such, but in terms of video, when I was starting out, the technology was completely different from what it is right now. Now it's point and shoot, and you just edit. Back then, we used to use DV tapes, and you would actually sort of record all of those on tapes and just capture them digitally on your computer and azab literally. But the thing was that there was this thing, a feature, which was basically sort of, it's long story short, it's very hard to describe that feature. But what happens is that there was a feature that your footage would sort of get cropped on TV. And I always wondered, whenever I would actually make music videos and stuff, it would crop on TV. So there was this feature or something that basically, I remember I went to a channel, I actually went specifically to their edit rooms, etc., etc. And I kept on begging one of the editors to tell me what the hell you guys do. And it was a small thing, literally. Right now, if mujhe koi puche and stuff, it doesn't even apply right now. But at that time, but agar koi mujhse puche, to I would tell him, but wo editor bhi nakhre kar raha tha ki yaar boss, ye aapko pata nahi hai, aur ye, you know what I'm saying? It was just very, but that's the thing. Everyone needs to just sort of have an attitude that this is our learning, really, to be honest. Grains, bits and pieces here and there that actually you could actually, and just apply it to your craft, really, to be honest. I borrowed this thing from Kohi into my love for wide angles. He introduced me to wide angle framing, really, to be honest, and I love him to this day for this. Is that he opened up new possibilities for me. A lot of framing that you see in Easy Paisa Rahi. I mean, I do my cam hopping as well and everything, but my love for wide angle shots comes from this guy, which I saw him just shoot in season 2 of Coke Studio, and I was like blown away. Wow. Love you, man.
Can you show your work? this technique. Can you show us some of your work?
Though, how do I in the chat window or?
You can.
I'm actually in the phone right on a phone right now.
Okay. So can you send the link to me?
Hello.
Hello. Yeah. Can you send me the link? Okay. Kohi, how about we show some of your work? So which one would you like me to open? Kohi?
Yeah. Sorry, the mic was on mute.
It's all right.
Yeah.
So we can walk through some of your work. If you can walk us through some of your work while Zeeshan rejoins us.
Right. Have you got the links, or should I send them to you again?
Links. So do you want me to open the Dawn one first?
Yeah. That's a decent one. I'm kind of proud of that one.
All of your work is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So would I be able to see it as well, or is it? Because this is the first time I'm using this software. It's kind of interesting.
So can you see my screen now?
No, I can't see it. It's still on your. Okay, something. No, it's just Zeeshan.
Oh, hello, Zeeshan.
I think I can be of little help over here. Fatima, could you forward the links to me in the private chat? I'll just help you out over here. I'll share the screen. Okay?
Can't you see my screen right now? Is it not sharing?
No, not as yet.
Okay.
So while we're waiting for that, I can talk about in terms of encouraging the creative process and giving some advice as well, if it's of any use. Like I have a 7-year-old who loves to draw, who wants to make animations and videos and do YouTube videos and stuff. So every time he says, "Oh, I have an idea for something," so I take his journal, give it to him, give him a pencil, tell him to write it down. So he has to put it down on paper, which he doesn't want to because he finds it very boring. But I tell him to sit down and have his glass of cocoa or whatever and make sure he gets that down on paper. And once that's down, I get him to make storyboards. And then after the storyboards are done, he has to outline, okay, these words go in this one, in this frame, and that frame, and like that. And in the end, we combine everything and shoot it for him, and which he has to sit with me and edit. Although we haven't gotten that far into the process, he's got a few projects that we're working through, but I don't want to push him to finish at this time. I want him to see and understand the process of creating something, and with every step he gets to flesh it out more. And he hasn't come to the point of fleshing it out completely, so I'm letting him continually develop it till he gets to the point where he's ready to move beyond that.
Oh wow, he's one lucky kid.
So that's my lab thing for him. That if you want to make a video, because we did shoot one video according to him. I want to do this and I want to do it now and shoot it like this, and it was a complete mess. So I put it together and showed it to him. Look, you need to work through this process because then it'll make sense. You'll know where the camera is. You'll know what to say first, what to say next, and what to end with. So
wow.
Yeah.
That's so helpful. Kohi, can you sort of see the screen now?
Yes. You want to go through the Kalash pictures as well? Yeah. Shall we start with that? That again is a beautiful place. Great people. I do want to travel there again, spend more time with them. And the editor for Herald at the time, a magazine that's been closed down now because of cutbacks and people not reading or buying magazines that much anymore. it was a great publication. I would be able to work on one project for maybe anything between 2 months to 6 months, depending on the length of the depth of the project. So they would send me to places. I would spend 10 days to a week over there, meet the people, live their lives, understand how that society culture worked, and then wrote about my experience over there with respect to a particular topic, as in what's happening, how do people treat the people of this region who aren't Muslims, how are they affected by all the visitors, by tourism. So I spent my, I think maybe 2-3 weeks over there, and I experienced it, I photographed it, I wrote about it, and then we came back and then sat down and edited it for a few weeks after that. So it was a great project, great process. And the same thing for the Balochistan project, which I did before this, or the Kolu project. Kolu is the village where I'm from. It's actually Kahan, but Kolu's near it. And we also did something on the crocodiles, the shrine in Karachi as well, which I was supposed to cover this year as well, but because of COVID, that never happened. Yeah, this is Kolu. This is in Balochistan. And again, I did about 500 pictures for this, 500 final pictures that we selected, and about 20 to 30 were published in the end. So I have a lot of material and back material to go through and rewrite it and develop this further. Yeah, this is the crocodile shrine, Mangupir, in one corner of Karachi. Great community. They all spoke Balochi, so I felt very comfortable there. If you go to the bottom and it says read more, it'll show you a few more pictures. So this, again, I wanted to capture the texture, the light, and frame the colors and the people and the sense of being there among people and experiencing this situation, this location for yourself. Instead of me, being like a helicopter showing them, look, this is how it is from top. No, this is how I experienced it. This is how you can experience it if you go there yourself. Wow. They sat down, they sang for me, they gave me chai, and I sat with them on the mat and listened to them and had mithai and chai, and we shared stories and had a great experience.
Wow. Oh wow.
That's a file photo. That's not one of mine, because that happened a day earlier, a day before I went there.
Kohi, is that Mangupir?
That is, yeah. We should go there sometime.
Beautiful. Oh man, Kohi, we need to go. I have just fallen in love with Balochistan, actually. On a side note, I thank the program that I've actually been doing and stuff, and just took me to Balochistan, and I've never witnessed any sort of a place like Balochistan. I'm absolutely in love with that place, especially Quetta. Hello?
Yeah.
Sorry. I was just saying I was in love with Quetta, man. But yeah, we'll definitely go there. But sorry, man, I interrupted.
No, it's absolutely.
This is beautiful stuff, Kohi. Please show us more of your work, publish more of your work, so we can sort of get to experience more of your experiences.
One of the reasons I have not been sharing that much work on, let's say, Instagram, Flickr, online, whatever, is that I've been sitting on them to develop them into exhibitions and books. Because if they're on Instagram, it kind of, takes the value out of it. Not in terms of monetary value, but in terms of giving it more context within a book or within an exhibition, because the way you view things on a screen or a cell phone screen isn't the same as you walk into a room or open a book and experience it. which goes back to Zeeshan and my, treasure hunting for magazines and the content inside magazines and these sorts of things. So it's important how we convey that, how I convey stories, information, ideas, and not just share them as individual images or a series of 3 to 5 images online, where it can have more depth and can actually allow you to experience something from a different point of view.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So yeah, in terms of experiencing something from a different point of view, social media or online consumption prevents us from doing that, because we're still looking at things from our own mindset, and we're mostly looking at things that kind of reinforce our point of view. Whomever we are and whomever is looking at it. If I give you a book, it has a certain kind of cover, it has a certain type of texture on the paper, it's got certain pictures inside, whether it's color or black and white, and how it's published, where the caption is, what the frame is, what the border is, and the sequence of the images. I'm determining how you're experiencing that. So I get you to step outside your comfort zone and experience things from the outside, and maybe gain an insight into my thought process, my feelings, or etc., etc.
Yeah, I hear you, Kohi. This is a book that you're working on right now. I Am Pakistan.
No, this is this is an Italian magazine called Private, and this was a combination of various Pakistani photographers who contributed to it, in the sense of I am Pakistan, and this is my statement on Pakistan. So all of us contributed several images, and they published it, to give a sense of the country.
Wow, wow, that's very interesting. Okay, so I have a question for you, but it will wait. It will have to wait because we'll have to sort of see some of Zeeshan's work first, and then I'll
Sure, here.
put the same question for both of you. Um, if we can have Zeeshan's videos.
Zeeshan, I think you're on mute still.
Yeah. I'm having that.
Sorry.
I'm having that.
Okay, I've just sent the links to Maryam. So yeah. So yeah, this is I'm just shared 2 recent projects. This is the trailer for Rahi. So obviously the first season is done now, but this is the first season's trailer. If you want to go through it right now, whatever, or in your time, it's totally up to you.
Should I play? Should I play it right now?
If you can, yeah, sure.
मंजिल का पता नहीं, पर शायद अपने मन को ढूंढ ले। तो आओ मिलके ढूंढे वो रिश्ते, वो मुस्कुराहटें, वो प्यार, कुछ पुरानी यादें और कुछ नए सवाल। जो तू ना हो लापता, तो तेरे इस सफर का क्या मजा। चलता जा, चलता जा, राही।
Okay, so can you hear me?
Yes. Yes. Wow.
Sorry. So this was just to give a bit of background to this. So this was a little bit more than a year in the making, and this was something which was came from the mind of Omer Jaswal as he approached me last year when we were in Coke Studio together to do this show, which we had to sort of visit Pakistan and just he's into heavy bikes and he sort of travels and stuff. So I was having a lot of reservations. I'm actually sorry, I wasn't having reservations, and so I instantly thought that this could be it has a potential to become something really, at least, and in the minds of the audience, etc. And just let's just have a show that sort of talks about hitting the road and starting your own journey amidst everything that is happening. Now, this was pre-COVID, so we really didn't know what was going to go on later on as well, which was going to hit us in 2020. But the idea stemmed from him stepping out of the house. And as we went ahead, the overall journey became super personal. Really, to be honest, I never thought that we'd be going through so many things on the road, witnessing so many beautiful moments. And it was generally that when we were on the road, this was the first time that I actually got to see so many sunsets and sunrises in different parts of Pakistan, especially in Balochistan. And it's just a beautiful thing and what we did was when we went on the road, we actually went with a preconceived notion of how we're going to structurize the whole thing. Everything we had planned quite a bit, that we're going to show this, and as Kohi would say that in filmmaking you have to have a structure, etc. The problem with this show of this nature, we actually had to tear everything down and not follow those things at all. We actually went, and what we felt on the road, we came back with those ideas and feelings and constructed the narrative accordingly. So this was a tedious process, really, to be honest, because had we known from before of a script and structure, but then again, it would not have been as real as it comes out right now. It would have completely lost its purpose and meaning. And that's what I generally believe. Like I was just going back to whatever I said, that you put your 200% in something that you really believe will work. I went to Balochistan, and we thought we would actually be covering a different ground altogether. But we went to the coastal highway, and it's a episode that we call Solitude, as one of my favorite episodes from the series. That episode is nothing but just 10 minutes of Omer Jaswal, just going through the landscape, the beautiful landscape that the coastal region of Balochistan has to offer. But it's not a travelogue. You are actually constructing deeper meanings while showcasing those things. And the idea is about, the whole episode is about time, about the concept of time, about where things really go as time, is always against us. Deeper questions, people leave us. Our time in this world is completely limited. And those were the feelings that we really felt on the road, and those were the concepts that we built the show upon. So not particularly like ye Sindh, ye Balochistan, or whatever. Those are just our constructs were completely different. So this was it holds a big piece of my heart, this show, and I hope that season 2 is approved as well, so we can go ahead and start shooting that as well. So this other one, this is the trailer for last year. This is something which is, again, very, very close to my heart. It's because I met a lot of wonderful people through this platform, which is being the video producer for Coke Studio. I became the video producer in season 2, and I was, till season 4, I was the video producer, which is sort of like the director of the show. But then I had to leave for Canada, and I joined back again last year as a video producer. So this is the trailer. I mean, if you want to see it, definitely by all means. But this is what we sort of and I'll talk about basically the look, the feel of the whole thing. So if you want to play it, you can totally do it.
Yeah, I'll just play the trailer. Just a second.
जब तक तो रूह है तब तक तो मौसीकी है कुदरत की अता है मौसीकी कि इसमें हर तरह का एहसास पाया जाता है आवाज इतना स्ट्रॉन्ग इम्पैक्ट क्रिएट कर सकती है आप इसका अंदाजा म्यूजिक से लगा सकते हैं अगर सुरों के जरिए किसी के दिल पे असर कर जाए तो जो सब दूरियां होती हैं कुछ अरसे के लिए खत्म हो
Music is spirituality, geography, तारीख, identity. यूनिवर्स में है तो साइलेंस के अंदर भी एक मौसीकी है
हर आवाज में एक स्केल है हर कोई चीज एक टाइम में होती है अब हर बीट ये भी एक टाइमिंग है Everyone ready? Music is alive. Music जिंदा है.
का वजू पानी है उस तरीके से रूह का वजू है मालिकी किसी भी चीज को आपके दिल में उतारने के लिए सुर का होना तो जरूरी है
I live everything through music. I think I want to give to the world through music what I got from music. It's just such a mood altering phenomenon.
Wow. Wow.
So sorry.
No.
Hello.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. Please go ahead. You were saying something.
Okay. About the show, really, to be honest, that this is this show means a lot to myself and Kohi, and because it's just really, to be honest, it's sort of like coming back to the family. Really, to be honest, I mean, Kohi was still a part of this as well. I left for Canada and I came back last year. So as soon as I came back, that also reunited. I got reunited with Kohi again, and it was such a beautiful feeling, like another family, like getting back together after a long time. So that's one of the reasons why I regard this last season to be very close to my heart. And the specific look and feel, we were actually going for something which is completely non-flashy. The way the last couple of seasons of Coke Studio have been constructed, this is a completely different sort of an approach to just going back to your roots kind of a feeling, and just sort of having a very mid-tone, nothing that sort of appears heavy on the eyes as well. It's just general music, and that's what sort of went ahead with the music treatment. And Kohi would also say this as well, like, for the music is the most integral part of the show as well. Photography and videography comes second, really, to be honest. We always have to cater to the needs of the music and also the musician, and we work around that, really, to be honest. It's for me, even though we prep a lot of things in Coke Studio, but I feel the most difficult job is of the photographer in this, because you need to be completely immersed within the song, and that song window is really small. And I mean, even we have multiple different cameras. We have like a lot of cameras. Kohi is there on set and trying not to be seen by anyone, hiding in the shadows. And with one camera, he just comes out with a beautiful, wonderful expressions. And that's one thing about Kohi is as well, that Kohi understands music. Therefore, he understands how to capture musicians as well. And that's one of his Besides other stuff that he does as well, this is something which he's a pro at.
In fact, the room that Zeeshan is sitting in now, I was with him, and there he asked me, why don't you make music on your own also? And my thought to that is, and that would be something else for me to get obsessed in and lose myself in, and I'll just focus on the visual stuff and maybe draw from the music instead, just to keep that as something that I enjoy, rather than start feeling the pain and the suffering that music and imagery brings in when you try and pursue those,
Yeah, I'd like to ask
fields.
Kohi and Zeeshan here. Kohi, especially you, in terms of how do you find your voice and how do you find the intent behind capturing something? So, like, how do you go about it?
Well, in terms of having the voice, it comes from the subject. Like a lot of work that I did before coming to Pakistan, before I actually worked as a photographer in Pakistan, I did in England. I spent about 10 years in the UK. I was studying architecture there and in Oxford, and a lot of my friends were musicians there. So we mostly talked about music, and we're into films and videos and these sorts of things. We're fans of things and ideas, and a lot of my friends from architecture, we all wanted to be other things like filmmakers and musicians and things. So we would delve into that subject a lot more and try and draw from it and bring it into our field as well. So I worked uh, as a photographer there for many years. I photographed for musicians. I photographed for concerts and situations and events. And my photography work was very different compared to what you see it as now. Also, because it was a lot more abstract. I worked with time, movement, speed, tempo, the vocals. I picked out all these different things from the song, the music, or the concert, and then translated that into imagery. So you find your subject, you pick out a certain thing that you want to highlight or communicate through. It could be either, the voice, the tempo, the drum, the bass, whatever, and then find a way of translating that into imagery. So that's something that I haven't done much in Pakistan, where I've been photographing a certain situation, a moment of the song, instead of translating that moment into an image. So that's a whole different way of looking at the image. It doesn't exactly answer your question, but you choose what you want to communicate and how you want to communicate. A lot of those abstract images would not make sense to a lot of people that Coke Studio is for. That a lot of people who consume Coke Studio, because they would just see it as a blue streak or a green streak, and what does that mean? They don't see the saxophone or something moving up and down, and the guitar lines and the fingers of multi-layered photographs, saying something about the song, how the song is constructed. So they would like to see the artist and how the artist is at that peak moment of the song, singing that particular verse or chorus or note. So I've focused on that in Coke Studio mostly. And then I've done some time motion and other things that have not gotten much traction. So I dialed that back. So yeah, you pick out something, you choose how you do it, and you see if it works, if it kind of attracts the kind of energy that you need it to, the kind of attention or communication that you need it to, and then you take that forward.
Right, right. That's something to reflect and think about. Um, Meanwhile, Zishan, can you tell us how do you choose a frame or a moment that can probably become a part of the promo or the highlights video? How do you choose something that that is sort of reflecting of I mean it contains the essence of what you're doing, what the project is about, but it's not too revealing either. But then it sort of um, communicates what communicates the essence. Let's put it that way. How do you choose how to put something together in a highlights or a promo video?
I'm so sorry. Apologies. Your voice was cutting up. I didn't get the question properly. I'm so sorry. I can't hear you properly.
It's all right. Can you hear me now?
It's all right. Can you hear me now?
Okay. So my question was, how do you? Sorry, you're muted. Um, um, my question was, how do you choose a moment or a frame, and how do you sort of, which is sort of communicating of the essence, but not too revealing either. I think this is something that startups or businesses can probably also learn from you here. That how do you choose how do you choose frames or moments for a video, for a promotional video or a highlights video after something's been done, that contains the essence but isn't too revealing either? Or how do you, I mean, you can simply walk us through your process of putting together a promo video like we saw in Rahi or Coke Studio for that matter.
So I'll try to answer your question to the best of my ability. So two things come into play, I guess. The feeling and the intent, really. What do you want to achieve? Why are you doing this? Why are you in this whole thing? Generally, that's if you figure those things out, everything else will fall into place. Really, to be honest, and that will be your feeling that will actually dictate what the why you're in this for the long run. One of the pieces of practical advices that I can actually give anyone, really, to be honest, is that, and it applies to myself really, is that I don't know if this answers your question or not, but let's sway away from the moment. I actually would like to talk about how you can sort of serve everything around you in a way that sort of comes into place and actually makes it perfectly fine for you to function properly, and then you can actually look into movements, etc. So a couple of things. One is basically workflow. You need to have a specific workflow that works for you, a plan. A workflow is a word that we usually use, is to sort of dictate what is the game overall plan of how to sort of make something. And that the other one is pretty much skills. Skill set, to enhance your skill set, is the need of the day today, because and I don't know whether a lot of creatives believe in this or not, because they just stick to one discipline. I actually am all for learning different mediums, and that's why, although it sometimes becomes a really big pain and काफी headaches भी होते हैं इस पे, but the thing is that if in this day and age, and even in all film markets and stuff, they're looking for people who can do multiple things. Who if you have a 3D artist, a 3D generalist, he can take care of everything. If you have a editor, the editor should be able to not only edit, but who should also have substantial amount of information and hold on color grading, on audio mixing, on audio production, on audio recording. And at the same time, if that is not enough, he or she should also do cam mopping. I'm not saying that is right or wrong, but I'm just saying that this amount of knowledge, if you dive into this, will really serve you in the long run. I usually, in my talks, I give example of how I started off. In 2004, I made my first music video, which was Sergeant Zeeshan's King of Self. Now, through that video in Peshawar, I became a director. I became a director of photography. I became a cam op. I became a fashion stylist. I became a PR guy. I became a location specialist. I had to do everything myself. Now, obviously, I really sucked at all of them, but I just picked out a couple of things that I thought I enjoyed and stayed with me. So at least I went in and sort of grab those things as well. Like, okay, I genuinely love cam mobbing. And that's why since then I've just been, even if I'm not a director, even if I'm not a DP, I usually cam up on my projects, and because I know that this is the kind of shots that I want, etc., etc. So I mean, I would say that in the long run, everyone who's in as a startup or any creative person, and I feel everyone is creative in his or her own way, should actually be pursuing different things. Like in terms of startup, जो है, you definitely, if the startup is based on disseminating content, then the person needs to have editing chops, Photoshop chops, compositing chops. So to just sort of create content and just throw it out. So that and also social media awareness, etc., and stuff. So this is what, unfortunately, in this day and age, you have to learn 10,000 things to just make yourself be completely active in today's market. It's not simple like simpler times like before.
Yes, thank you so much. I don't want the session to end. I want this to go on. So how about we head towards the broadcast studio? But thank you so much for sharing all that you did.
I'd like to add one more thing to this as well. Sorry for jumping in there. What I'd like to say is that the way Zeeshan had said that for his Rahib project, that they had an idea, they had an outline, a structure, etc. And when they went out to shoot the project, it all kind of fell apart or evolved into something else. And they came back with something that was even stronger. So the issue, and I've had lots of issues in my work, in my industry, in my projects that I worked with other people as well. And the main issue that I've had is that working with marketing teams, design teams, or publishing teams and all, they have a fixed idea that they begin with, a very fixed and specific idea. So as the project goes on, things evolve. You learn new things, you create different things, and some of the things you create may be better than the initial idea, or even if not better, more appropriate for your concept or the final realization. But if you keep going back to that initial stamped idea, you're actually doing the idea or the final results a disservice by limiting it, by not including the experience of creating and making it, making it grow, allowing it to say something much deeper, more meaningful. Something you can say, let 50 people love it instead of 500 people just liking it. That makes the work much more meaningful, and that way it can perhaps grow and live on as well, instead of someone enjoying it for a minute and then forgetting about it. And for my projects, like the Kalash project, the story I did on Kolu, my visit to Kolu, and my travel, my journey throughout the Indus River. So I had a very fixed idea, and we made a very fixed structure for it. Like, we go here, I go here, I write about this, I meet this person, then I write my interview with this person, etc., etc. And that changed completely because I met other people along the way, and those people that I met, they've passed me on to different people and told me about other things that had happened and that they had experienced and that they had learned, and that knowledge informed me a lot better, and that helped me develop and build my story, and in the end, the visuals and the ideas into something a lot greater than it was. Let's say there's an example of how I didn't follow that instinct, and it kind of undermined one of my projects in a way. And back in 2012 or 2011, I was doing a history of Pakistan in 1 year. So I spent a few months on the road, traveling through all the provinces, meeting different people, seeing different situations, like the attack in Peshawar on the school over there, and going to other schools in that region, seeing how kids had recovered from them, how teachers had put the school together, and they turned into me meeting them and coming up with one-line answers from these people, which doesn't really convey the experience. So at that time, I met a family in Swat for just an hour or two, and wrote their story down, which was like maybe 2 pictures, a paragraph, and that was it. And I moved on. And those people wanted to tell me a lot more, wanted me to spend more time with them. And so, yeah, and and the person who's my guide there said that, look, there's a good story and there's a lot more to these people than, this 1 day or 3 hours are going to let you know. And I said, I'm sorry, I'm on a clock. I need to get this done by the end of the week, so I need to go on. And so that story happened. It was in printing or editing, whatever. And that summer I went abroad to for the birth of my son. And when we were there, when my son was born, the next day I heard the news that this young girl that I had met over there had gotten shot. And all of a sudden she was world famous. And she wanted to spend time with me and talk with me and show me her school, her studies, make me talk me through her speeches, which turned out to be the world famous Malala. So I had like 3 hours with her instead of knowing her story before she became the person that the world knows her to be. So that kind of experience, or that kind of fixed idea that we need to do this and it needs to be done in 15 seconds, or you have 1 hour to do this and then you get the results, that kind of undermines your work and the potential of your work as well. So imagine how much more relevant that story would have been, how much more meaningful it would have been had I known her entire experience, instead of their school was attacked, they fixed the school, and now look, the students are back.
Yes.
That's very superficial compared to what we have learned and experienced over the years now. So yeah, don't hold your story back. In fact, if you have a deadline, push your deadline. It's the results that matter. I mean, don't push it too far, but make sure you get the right amount of information and you do something good with it, something meaningful and something longer lasting than just someone flipping through Instagram or Facebook going, oh, that's nice, like button, over, just gone and disappeared. It should be something that people keep coming back to and understand better and grow. It's a seed that needs to kind of continually expand and become a plant, tree, and whatever, So that's what you need to do. And for startups, it is important that you plant seeds that really start carrying you and holding you, pushing you higher, and developing you into who you will be in the future as well.
Yeah, exactly. Your project has to be bigger than you, right? Thank you so much. I want this to go on forever, but we're out of time now. But thank you so much, Zeeshan. Thank you so much, Kohi, for sharing all the nuggets of wisdom that you did, and you were so generous. Thank you so much. We'll have to sort of enter the broadcast studio now, but thank you everyone for watching.